Okay, we are live, baby. We'll let it breathe just for a second and make sure we're not leaving out Lance, our Facebookers who we love dearly. But it just takes a couple extra seconds, hence where the let it breathe phrase came from. And we are good. Welcome in, everybody. This is a Orange and Blue View podcast without either of the Orange and Blue View podcast hosts. Today, I'm your fill-in host, Chad Jensen, and with me is Lance Sanderson. You know him, you love him from Dove Valley Deep Divers. Lance, brother, here we are podcasting on a Saturday. Have you and I ever done a one-on-one pod like this before? We've been on pods together, but have we ever co-hosted a show?
Yeah, we did a show a couple of years. Was it a couple of years ago? It was right after you the Bridge the Gap dropped the Secret Combinations album.
Oh yeah,
and I hit you with talk about the Broncos special teams unit with there's there's no place to go but up, young whippersnapper. They're down the road less traveled. I hit all
That's
the
right.
I hit every song type. I think so. But yeah,
That's right.
it's been a minute since we got a chance to sit down together and actually have a conversation. Obviously, we got to see each other last week at the Mile High Huddle meet and greet, and thank you all for that were there. It was an absolute blast. We had so much fun. Thanks to Dale and Gretchen for getting tickets for me and Samantha to go. An amazing comeback, so much fun. And no, we didn't leave early. We stayed the entire freaking time. It was awesome. So, no, just I'm doing good, man. How are you? How's everything going with you and the family?
Good, but you know what I'm just noticing now is wherever your microphone is, try and bring it a little closer to you. It sounds like
Okay.
you're on a headphone mic, but everybody's great. We want to say hello to the folks in the chat, like David Yunkin jumping in early with a super chat, a dear member and a longtime superstar, saying since Sean Payton has been the head coach of the Broncos, he hasn't done anything at the trade deadline. Well, here's what's going on, guys. Diana Rossini of The Athletic dropped a little morsel today, or was it yesterday? I covered it today. Either way, recently dropped a morsel. I'm pretty sure it was today, that the Denver Broncos are, quote unquote, monitoring the tight end market as the November 4th trade deadline inches closer. And you think to yourself, Lance, well, wait a second now. This offense has definitely been kind of stuck in neutral, but is it really a tight end is the missing link here? I don't really quite understand, especially when they invested in Evan Ingram. I get it. You start off the beginning of this season. He's hurt two different injuries. He even misses a game. But the last 4 games, he's produced on a level relatively commensurate with how the offense is produced. So he's done well, in other words, the last month or so. Why do you suppose, if it's true, Lance, the Broncos are monitoring tight ends? In other words, why do they want more tight end help?
Well, it's not just an Evan Ingram problem. It's an Adam Troutman problem. It's a Nate Adkins problem. It's a Lucas Kroll problem. The depth of this unit right now is not producing at all. And the offense in general, there's so many execution errors on this team, Chad. Like, it's crazy, dude. Like, we talk about the screen game for a minute, talk about all the batted passes at the line of scrimmage. Like, it's not just a one singular issue here, but I understand why they're wanting to go and maybe bring in another player that can hold up better as a blocker, because Adam Troutman's been not great. Lucas Kroll, when he's out there, he's not great either. Nate Adkins is kind of an okay player, but they need another player that can go out there, line up on the line of scrimmage, and just be a force as a blocker. And maybe some of these screenplays that the Broncos are dialing up, where there's opportunities, there's big time opportunities, especially downfield, for the screen game to really take off. I know Eric talked about this in an article the other day at milehighhuddle.com. So the execution up front, and it's specifically with the tight ends, is really a big thing. To me, though, the bigger nugget of information is one that came out, I believe it was Diana Rossini as well earlier today, saying that the Jacksonville Jaguars are currently not shopping, but making available for trade Brian Thomas Jr., their first-round pick from last year, an explosive wide receiver that fits so well within this offense. If the Broncos can make that move happen, I'm 100% for that. I know it's going to take probably a first-round pick and maybe a second as well to get that player from the Jaguars, but if they can go and bring in a player like that to add to this offense, I am 100% behind that move.
We shall see. Hey, Papa Bear, good to see you tonight, big dog. Buckham with a B. Buckham with a B, just like that classic T-shirt that's slowly becoming vintage. Love you, buddy. Says, good evening, Broncos country. Pardon me. Hashtag 13 and 4. Yes, sir. I'll add this for him because I know he means it. Plus, 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 plus. So he's feeling it. We got also Josh, the boot boy 90 jumping in, not on the 60 bus. He's a Roots radical, but he's saying big game tomorrow. Let's get this dub. Josh, thank you for being a member, big dog. We appreciate you. It is a big game because as Sue brings up here, the Chiefs are playing Monday night against the Commanders. No Jaden Daniels. So if you want to, Lance, keep abreast, not only keep abreast in the AFC West, but maintain that one-game lead, you got to handle your business tomorrow against the Cowboys offense that is a little bit scary.
Yeah, this offense for the Cowboys it's incredibly explosive. I went back and watched the game against the Commanders, and honestly, it felt like, I know the final score was 44-22 in that game, but it felt like a lot of the same issues that are plaguing the Broncos right now, especially after Jaden Daniels got hurt in terms of execution, drop passes, batted passes at the line of scrimmage. They really kind of hamstrung what was going on with the Washington Commanders last week against the Dallas Cowboys. But this offense right now with George Pickens, with CeeDee Lamb, with Jake Ferguson going off the way that he is at the tight end position, like Javonte Williams in that running game, which is absolutely electric right now. This Dallas Cowboys offense is without question the best in the league, but they have the worst defense in the NFL by far right now. So there's some opportunities here. I can't wait to break it all down with you guys. But yeah, it's a scary game, and you really need to go out and handle some business here at home.
Hey, Tucson Phil jumping in on Facebook. Great to see you, big dog, saying good evening, Chad and Lance. If we pick up anybody, I really hope it's an O-line guy. Buckham, MHH for life, Broncos for life. It's kind of funny you say that, Phil, because, as soon as Ben Powers went down, and especially after the crap show that was the Matt Pert experiment that one game before he got hurt at left guard, I thought, wow, if you're going to make a trade, it's got to either be offensive line or it's got to be linebacker. Because at that point, we didn't yet know really the official timetable for Greenlaw. We knew he'd be cleared, or he could come back as of week 7 and beyond. But at that point, we had no clear indication he was actually going to be healed and ready to go. Thank goodness he was. But that removes linebacker. Offensive line, Lance, Alex Palczewski came in last week and played exceedingly well. I'll stop short of saying that he was dominant, but even Joe Lombardi, the offensive coordinator who spoke earlier this week, Sean Payton after the game, complimented him to the nines. And so, yeah, now you have a little bit of a depth issue in the event that something happens, knock on wood, to Palczewski, Wattenberg, or even Quinn Miners. But I don't know. Do you think offensive line is something the Broncos will be looking at here with the trade deadline, Lance?
I mean, it's certainly a possibility. The problem is who's available and what's it going to cost you to get that. I know there was rumors going around for a while that the Browns were possibly interested in trading Joel Bitonio, but Joel is, I think, 33 or 34 years old right now in the last year of his deal. So you're going to have to, if you do go and make that kind of a trade, what are you willing to give up for that? A 4th or 5th round pick for what is a very good guard. I think the bigger issue, though, it's not necessarily the pass protection up front, and I get the depth concerns here. I think that it's mostly an execution issue from that guy in the guy under center, not hitting throws. There's some issues with his footwork. There's more issues with the execution all the way around. And I know that Joe Lombardi came out and talked about Alex Palczewski. I thought he had a pretty decent game for a backup. I mean, when you go out there and you play as well as he did, you got to be at least a little bit encouraged about that. And hopefully, again, there's no more injuries. You can get Ben Powers back in December from that torn biceps tendon. So to me, I think adding more explosive weapons to this offense and just getting Bo Nix back to where he was last year, especially down the stretch, the struggles are there right now. And I think that it's not necessarily due to offensive line issues. I think it's due to execution issues from Bo and the skill position players.
Yeah, I mean, Bo could definitely be better, but 5-6 drops a game, that's untenable, especially early in the game where everyone's like, come on, why can't they stay on the field? It's like, well, they're dropping balls, and it's really a collective fail. Let's grab this one, Lance, then we'll get to a little matter of business from Ralph, who's lamenting that he was unable to get a pick with you last week.
Man.
And then he says, our key to a win is a long, slow getting me excited over here, Ralph. Long and slow running game. And by the way, Lance, before I serve this back to you, I got to just ask the chat one thing real quick. Guys, this is a newer feature that we can use where we can kind of have the chat showing here in the corner where you guys can see it. Do you like it, or do you like it the old way where it's not there? Give me a 1 if you like it, a 2 if you don't like it. But Lance, your thoughts here for Ralph.
Well, first and foremost, Ralph, it was great to meet you and your. I believe it was your son that was with you. So I apologize for not being able to get. Yep, I forgive me for not getting a bunch of pictures. I didn't do a whole lot of that this year. I was mostly just hanging out and talking with everybody. And shout out to everybody who was there. So hopefully next year, Ralph, you're able to come to the meet and greet again. We can get a picture and everything like that. But the key to the win here is a long and slow running game. Absolutely. Like this is 100% nails. Like you have to establish a running game. And quite honestly, I think that it's J.K. Dobbins that needs to be the bell cow. He needs to see 20 carries because honestly, this Dallas Cowboys running defense is absolutely atrocious. They allow the most rushing yards per game in the NFL. That I believe it's the second most yards per rush, the like fourth highest EPA per rush attempt. They have so many issues trying to stop the run right now, and it's an issue with the players up front, whether it's Jadeveon Clowney, whether it's the edge defenders Dante Fowler Jr. and Donovan Ezraku. Like there's so much offensive line displacement that you can push these guys around. And to win this game, I think one, you need to slow the pace of the game, keep the ball in the offense's hands, and you need to keep Dak Prescott and everybody that Dallas Cowboys defense or offense off of the field. Hi, Kevin. Like that's really the biggest key is to actually run the ball and commit to what Sean Payton has on his play sheet every single day.
All right, I'm just gonna if you need to take care of business there, Lance, and pop back on, I can. Are you sure? Okay. Ralph, dude, I miss your musk. I hope you're doing well. Keith Brugman, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well, my friend. We got about an equal, I would say up to this point, equal distribution in the ones and the twos of people either liking or not liking the comments on screen. So we'll see. We'll let it vibe out for a minute. 1, again, guys, if you like it. 2, if you don't like it. Lots more to get to, guys, but listen up. We're getting closer to holiday season, and if you are still figuring out gifts, House of Atlas is a no-brainer, perfect for your brother, your roommate, or even yourself. When someone asks you, hey, what do you want? And you don't feel like trying to think up whatever, right? Their grooming kits make it simple to clean up, and they actually look as good on the counter as they feel in your hand. The razor's weighted handle and precision trim edge make it effortless to get a smooth, clean shave every time, something that most razors, frankly, just don't do. And the best part, you can grab them at Target stores nationwide or online at target.com, so you don't have to overthink it.
Yeah, that's right, guys. Atlas is redefining men's grooming with premium tools and products designed to look good, feel good, and actually perform. People love the razor because it feels solid in your hand. It's not flimsy like most disposable razors, and the precision trim edge makes detailing under the nose, your sideburns, the edges, everything like what I do with my beard here. It makes it simple and precise, guys. Beyond the shave, they have a shaving cream and aftershave that elevates the routine with their refreshing and subtle signature scent, making grooming feel more like self-care than a chore.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. It smells really good too. Precision shave cream and the calming aftershave. So don't stress, guys, over last minute gifts or settle for shaving products that simply don't deliver. This holiday season, grab yourself or someone on your list the upgrade they deserve with House of Atlas. Grab it at Target stores nationwide or again at target.com.
Thank you, House.
Okay, got it. See, we're even seeing people change their mind. We're letting it flow for a minute. You guys let us know. Let us know. Glenn from Down Under, J.K. Dobbins should get 120 plus rush yards. Harvey 80 plus against the Dallas defense. The benefit of this game, where it is, if we are smart, is the injection to the offense by executing. I don't know. Zach, my podcasting partner, said something, Lance, earlier this week, where he's like, hey, man, I think Sunday with how bad it almost, I mean, it was bad for 3 quarters, right? So let's not pretend it was great, but how bad it could have been from a result perspective. Like they came this close really to getting shut out. Like if they didn't figure out a way to kind of get some momentum and turn things around at the very bottom of the third, score immediately in the fourth, it could have been really, really bad. And Zach's of the opinion that it was a wake-up call for Sean Payton, for Bo Nix, whatever's been eating at these guys. Time to get to the bottom of it, come out against this really potent Cowboys offense as an offense in Denver and be ready to answer, fight fire with fire.
Yeah, but I think that the big thing here is that not only was it a wake up call to Sean Payton, but I think it was a wake up call to Bo Nix to start being a little bit more aggressive and pushing the football down the field. And again, guys, it goes back to that execution level because Bo's missed on what 5 or 6 different deep shots where he has guys wide open, and it's a footwork issue. It's a redlining the throw. This is a great comment from Tim Jenkins at Tim Jenkins. He's a quarterbacks coach. I believe he worked with PJ Walker for a while. Watching his breakdowns and seeing what he says about Bo Nix, about how he's redlining these throws and putting everything that he can possibly get into them, it's really frustrating. If he just settles down a little bit and takes some of those shots, you have opportunities to really change the entire discourse of what this offense is. You hit the deep shot to Marvin Mims, 2 deep shots to Marvin Mims against the Chargers. You win that game walking away. There's one against the Jets, 2 or 3 against the Giants that were there. That you're just barely missing on some of these plays. The discourse around this offense is that the execution and the screen game, it's not working. They're not staying committed to the run. It's that wake-up call that continue to be aggressive, continue to hunt with the football, not only with Sean Payton, but also with Bo Nix, and stop taking all these check-down options where you're allowing defenses to flow. What you're seeing, even especially with the Giants, was they're saying, all right, we're going to stack the box and make you beat man-on-man coverage over the top. Good luck. Here you go. If you do that 2 or 3 times, back that defense off, it opens up everything else within the offense. So I think that that's the bigger key here, is that if you execute and start landing on some of these shot plays, this offense takes a big step forward, and it can be one of the more explosive offenses in the NFL.
It's been a while since they hit on a big shot play downfield. I mean, last week doesn't count in the sense that, like, there was a couple of nice ones. Marvin Mims made 2 decent vertical plays, although one was maybe not a shot play, but a back shoulder fade, picked up some yardage. But those big shots that they've dialed up, you're right. It's been a minute. Let's see what this member, Chase, dear member, says. I haven't heard much about RJ Harvey's lack of production. Feels like it's been masked by J.K. Dobbins having a year. What do you think about Harvey so far? It's kind of hard to understand, but look, Sean Payton says it's quote unquote hard to feed 4 running backs, let alone feed 3. And also, I mean, honestly, dude, let alone feed 2 in this offense.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dobbins has the hot hand. He's shown it consistently. He's the type of runner that, the first half, if you stay with him, the first half, he's going to give you 3 yards or so. Third quarter, fourth quarter, they start opening up into bigger and more explosive plays. Very traditional in that sense, but he's got a lot more explosion, a lot more pop to his game than I think a lot of people thought going into this season. And RJ, it just hasn't been going. He's still getting a few carries here and there, but he's not seeing it the same way. And in this situation, Lance, where the offense is, when they do choose to run the ball, they gotta be productive. It seems like Sean Payton's kind of like, I'm going to keep RJ just as my third down receiver guy. And when I need those yards on the ground, I'm counting on Dobbins. And it's been a minute. Last thing I'll say before I serve it back to you. It's been a minute, really, the Cincy game, since the Broncos have been in like clear control throughout where they can kind of dictate. It's really been kind of them trying to catch up and stay apace of late. And that has kind of favored Dobbins.
Well, and again, like I said earlier, you need J.K. Dobbins to be that guy that can get, 18, 20, 23 carries or something like that. And then use RJ Harvey to spell him, because the explosiveness that Harvey has is even more than what J.K. Dobbins has. And I've been pleasantly surprised after that first week against the Titans, where I thought Dobbins looked slow. I thought that he didn't see it right. Harvey had that one big long run, the 50-yarder against the Titans. I was like, RJ Harvey's poised to break out in this offense. But then J.K. Dobbins came back the next week and had a huge game against the Chargers in week 3. Like, he's playing way better than I thought that he was going to be, especially after week one. And that kind of takes away from what Harvey is right now. And rookies in Sean Payton's offense or on Sean Payton teams, just they typically don't get that kind of a run. So I think there's a rookie aspect, the getting used to the speed of the game, seeing things the right way, understanding when to put your foot in the ground, get north and south, getting your hands on some more football, some more opportunities. That's the big reason why we're not seeing much production from RJ Harvey. He's seeing the ball like 6-7 times a game, and I know I just said 6-7, but still like 6-7-8 times a game. It's when they finally get this offense going where they can kind of get into some control, like you said, against that Cincinnati Bengals game. But how did they get into control, Chad? When they really started to get control of that game was when they really started dialing up running plays and feeding these running backs over and over and over again. I think J.K. Dobbins had, 23 carries in that game? R.J. Harvey also had 12 carries in that game. They ran the ball like 35 times. That's where this offense needs to be right now. They need to stop putting the football on Bo's hands, lean on that running game, because the offensive line is doing a great job up front and creating these running lanes. It didn't look great against the Giants, but at the same time, they didn't have the opportunity to run the football as much as they wanted to because they were down 19-0 going into the fourth quarter. You have to start throwing the football. They've got to lean into this running game, especially against this Cowboys team earlier in the game, and start to just grind teams down, slow the pace of the game, and then take shots over the top of that.
Hey, Roy, it's good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well.
What's up, buddy?
Yeah, they have just over $5 million in available cap space right now. This is why I kind of concur here with String Guy, who says due diligence would say to me that the Broncos will monitor everything as the trade deadline approaches, but that doesn't mean they make a trade. Doubt they make any moves. I agree. I doubt they do, but until it comes and goes, we got to stay vigilant. Camden jumping in. Thank you for the super chat, Big Dog, and for being a member of the community. What's up, Broncos country? Do you think that if the Broncos win versus the Cowboys, then Payton will be active at the trade deadline in adding a weapon if they win, maybe adding a Shaheed or a Calvin Austin III? So, Lance, do you think that I don't think whether they win or lose this game will have any impact whatsoever on if they trade or not, but what say you for Camden?
I think that if they win this game, it's not going to have like a huge impact, but it does maybe open up their eyes a little bit more. And it depends on how they win specifically. If the offense actually has some steps forward, they score 33 points against this Cowboys defense, then probably not. But if they win a tight game, let's call it like a 20-16 game where the defense is really in control of this game and they shut down this explosive Cowboys offense, then maybe they do look to go and add another piece. Rashid Shaheed from the New Orleans Saints would be a great piece. He fits in very well, kind of like I was talking about Brian Thomas Jr., similar skill sets, but Brian Thomas, much better player. Calvin Austin would be another player that I would look at as well. Unfortunately, it sounds like the Saints have been turning callers away about Chris Olave. So, and it sounds like excuse me. It sounds like they may have a deal in place to extend him here soon. But Shaheed is definitely an option here. Calvin Austin's definitely an option here. And again, if you can figure out a way to get Brian Thomas Jr., then absolutely. But I don't think that anything really truly depends on what happens against this Cowboys team this week, unless the offense continues to struggle.
We shall see. Camden, thank you, brother. Really appreciate you. Shout out to Albert. Good to see you on Facebook, my brother. He predicts Broncos win 28-21. Right on, dude. That's cool.
I hope the meet and greet, man.
Yeah, a couple years in a row we've missed Albert and his awesome wife Michelle, but in the near future we can hope. Yeah, the Mile High Dutchie and the Hizzy for sure. All right, let me grab some member comments here. Todd saying the Broncos won't win a lot if they're passing 50 times a game, which is what Bo had to do. Basically, that's what they did last game. Although half of those attempts were, of course, the furious fourth quarter comeback. So keeping that in mind, but still, the balance was definitely off. That is for sure. David, I read somewhere that Bo went off on the offense for not being serious enough. I haven't seen that. What have you heard on that front, Lance?
I haven't seen anything. I want to grab a comment really fast, right between those two you just grabbed, from William Catalano here. And he says, we should be able to crack 150 rushing yards between Dobbins, Harvey, and Bo. And I want to highlight this last part, Bo. the Commanders and what they were able to do this last week in the quarterback running game, whether it was scrambles or just designed quarterback like read options, zone read, stuff like that, where with Jaden Daniels and also Marcus Mariota had a really good running game. I think that this is another key to unlocking this offense is getting Bo utilizing his legs as a runner, as a designed run game. I mean, he had the one. It was a quarterback sweep essentially against the Giants that went for a touchdown. He had ran almost the exact same play against the New Orleans Saints last year for another touchdown. Like getting Bo unlocked with his legs. And I heard an interesting take on the radio the other day. I don't remember who exactly said it, but getting a guy comfortable and letting him get hit every now and again settles him down and turns him back into a football player and not just the Bo bot. Like, because that's what Bo is. I think that you need to let him go out there and go run around a little bit, take a shot, and get himself settled down into the game.
I'm trying to think what DB that was for the Jets that Bo lowered his shoulder and popped him on the left side. Either way, Bo can handle a little contact. Now, to be devil's advocate, Sean Payton would probably say, well, yeah, the Commanders got it going, and you can – but they don't have their quarterback this week. That's why we don't want to use too much Bo. But I think I agree with you, Lance, that there's a happy medium somewhere. And every time that Sean Payton has really started to roll out Bo, the planned, designed rusher, it's been successful. Not only in terms of the possession in question, but the games. I mean, last year when they first started rolling out some Bo Nix designed runs, it was on the road against the Saints. The opponent was kind of thrown off. They weren't really expecting it. Then you saw that as a trend through the next couple of weeks, including that near upset at Arrowhead. Then he gets the back injury against the Raiders a couple weeks later, and you started seeing that basically disappear from the offense because Sean Payton knew that he had something going on with his back, even though it wasn't popping up on the injury report for whatever reason. And we later learned, of course, that he had fractured bones in his back against the Raiders. So there is a happy medium, but Bo's a big, strong guy. And man, that quarterback sweep that you talked about, there's a place for that kind of stuff. And I just don't think we're seeing it enough. I agree with you. Like, I don't know if it's because it's Sean Payton trying to will into existence the Bo Nix top 4 or 5 quarterback in the NFL pocket guy, but you can have your cake, Coach Payton, and eat it too. You can call that kind of stuff. I think Bo Nix is good enough to be able to execute it, but really you need to get him hot and heavy, rolling in the zone, feeling things, runs, tempo, mixing it up a little bit instead of being just so obvious what's coming next on a down in, down out basis.
Yeah, and it only takes 2 or 3 plays a game. I'm not calling for him to run the ball like Jaden Daniels or Lamar Jackson or even Josh Allen, where they run quarterback power all the time. But every now and again, design up a good zone read for Bo and some RPOs and try to get back to what Bo was doing really well at Oregon, like that fast pace, higher tempo. And I know that Sean Payton doesn't want to hear about tempo, but let's stop running in 4 new players every single play. Let's stop with all the personnel changes. Let's get to the line of scrimmage. You don't need to snap the ball with 20 seconds remaining on the play clock, but let's get some tempo going. It's really easy to get your quarterback in the rhythm of the game, keep some personnel out there, continue to work with what's been working offensively. And there's a comment, I think it was String Guy, saying that you can't agree that with me saying that, Sean Payton does a great job. Right here, he says, I can't agree, Lance. I think Payton adjusts to the defense on a game-by-game basis. If he sees the passing will work better, he calls pass plays, and the same with the running game. You're not wrong. My criticism here is there are ways that you can change up and be more dynamic with the play calling to keep things from being so stagnant. And one big addition to that should be the quarterback running game. And I think that with Bo, his physical stature, his athletic ability, and also his wisdom of the game, his understanding and awareness of where defenders are around him, he's not going to take a bunch of big shots. He had those broken transverse process fractures against the Raiders on a sack. He's not going to take big shots like Jaden Daniels. He's not going to put his body at risk like that. So you understanding the dynamic of what your offense is currently operating at, and also how you can help accentuate your quarterback skill set, is something that I think needs to happen moving forward.
All right, some keys here coming from Camden for this Cowboys game. He says, I think this game will come down to the secondary versus the Cowboys receivers, mainly Riley Moss. So Riley Moss, guys, some of the hue and cry from Broncos country has diminished in recent weeks, but there's still those folks out there who think for some reason that Riley Moss sucks. He doesn't suck. He's great. He's very physical. He's a little grabby. He got screwed on one call last week, that final pass interference on the Giants' last possession, but he also got penalized 15 yards for a face mask. You're going to get some of that stuff here and there. You want to clean it up, but Riley Moss is so physical, and he doesn't get enough credit. But they are going to go after him in this game. And not only that, Lance, but I think you're going to see Dak not really be afraid to go at PS2, not because PS2 shouldn't or doesn't instill fear, but just because they're kind of feeling themselves right now. And I think it's going to take that pass rush and the corners themselves really forcing Dak in that offense to think twice about at least testing PS2, but Riley Moss as well. Riley Moss has been good. What I want to see in this game, the key is going to come down to, just like it was last week, albeit in a kind of furious comeback kind of format, but you got to get some takeaways this time around, Lance, if you're the Broncos defense. And Dak Prescott, if you get some pressure on him, as we've seen against the Broncos before, and just generally speaking, he is a quarterback that'll put it in harm's way.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to Riley Moss, I got a couple different things here. I tweeted this out yesterday at LanceS_MHH. If you guys are on Twitter, make sure you give me a follow. I follow everybody back. But there was a tweet saying Riley Moss's legacy is on the line on Sunday when it shouldn't be. But this fan base refuses to realize that he's a solid cornerback too. I retweeted that by saying, I don't get the hate for Riley Moss from this fan base because the guy literally has the lowest completion percentage allowed of any cornerback in the NFL with at least 200 coverage snaps. There's 53 players on that list, including Pat Surtain, Sauce Gardner, Quinton Mitchell, Denzel Ward, and Derek Stingley Jr. 49.2% completion percentage allowed. That's amazing. He's playing great. Now, the stupid penalties are a big thing here, and that one that he had against the Giants last week should not have been defensive pass interference. It was a great play on the ball, underthrown football. It is what it is. Now to Dak Prescott here, and why I think that Riley Moss is going to be such a critical component of this pass defense is because George Pickens is playing at a level right now that is unheard of. He's number one, I believe, in contested catches. He's number two, I believe, in 20 plus yard receptions. That the ball traveled 20 plus yards in the air. Like this dude is playing ridiculous, and it's a lot of those are again those deep shots, those moon balls. And Dak Prescott, he's not scared to throw into tight coverage. He's got a great arm, great accuracy, dumps the ball in the bucket, and he trusts a guy like George Pickens to go and make those plays. With Riley Moss right now, and the way that he's playing face coverage, where one-on-one face coverage, I'm going to get my face into your chest and I'm turn around and fight the ball. His technique right now is among the best in the NFL in terms of face guarding one-on-one. What happened last week against the Giants is a one-off. He's had now 4 different pass breakups and another forced incompletion against one-on-one face guard coverage on deep shots. That matchup right there, George Pickens versus Riley Moss, is going to be one for the ages to watch in the secondary.
All right, Lance, we got to kind of be in a little bit of a rapid fire when we answer these here on out. We got to keep a little bit tight tonight, guys, just because I wasn't expecting to stream tonight, and I've got a family thing coming up. So, but, of course, we're going to take our time with the Lady D, who's jumping in off the top rope with a very generous super chat. We love you. We miss you. It was so awesome to finally meet you in person last week, Lady D, and we appreciate you, all that you do, my friend. Give our best to the hubby. He's a great guy. Deanna said, evening, Chad and Lance. Coach needs to change his plays and not be so obvious. Stop with the obvious sweeps. We need 4 quarters of football played and played well. Run the ball. Let Bo run it too. MHH for life. Yes, indeed. 4 quarters. None of this third and fourth quarter. I mean, last week it was basically bottom of the third and the fourth. The week before it was pretty, I mean, the second quarter was okay. 3 other quarters really not so good. Against the Eagles the week prior, it was crap for 2 quarters, and then they started really 2.5 pulling things. I'm with her here, Lance, real quick, that we need to see 4 quarters, bud.
Yeah, absolutely. And it has to come against the worst defense in the NFL right now. It didn't happen against the Jets in London, where you scored 13 points against, I think it was the 28th ranked defense. And then last week for 3 quarters. So you had 7 consecutive quarters of bad offensive football. You need to dial it up and start hitting and executing on a much better basis. And again, I don't think it stopped the sweeps. I think that works. I think stopping the random naked bootlegs that just have not been open is a
I think
bigger
she
issue
means the
here.
screens. I think she meant the
Yeah,
screens.
well, and the screens too. It's too much of a screen heavy offense. But again, the bootlegs. What Brian Burns, I believe, blew up Bo Nix on a naked bootleg where he didn't even bite on the fake. Like
Yeah.
that, it's too obvious. It is very much too obvious. And Lady D, you're absolutely correct. Stop being obvious with your play calling and just kind of open some things up.
Some of the prettiest things I've ever seen was the naked boot with Jake Plummer and Mike Shanahan. Those days, I miss them. Lady D, also with the 10 memberships to folks in the chat. You're the bomb. We love you. Thank you so much for the support. And hopefully those 10 folks that just got gifted a YouTube membership for MHH, that we earn their membership after that first 30 days. So stoked for everyone who just got one. Welcome. We appreciate you. And of course, we love the Lady D. All right, guys, we got to kind of rapid fire a couple here. Let's grab from Keith. Do you line up Riley Moss on Pickens or Lamb? Riley Moss has his toughest games against the bigger wideouts. Quickly, Lance, which is, it's kind of like pick your poison here, but what do you like better for Moss?
Well, for Moss, I think you line him up on Pickens and let him go toe to toe. The lack of length in his arm length is something you're going to have to watch out for there. But with the way that the Cowboys deploy CeeDee Lamb, they don't ever have him line up stagnant in any kind of formation. They move him around all over the place. And Moss, he can play in the slot, but he's not going to have great snaps in the slot against CeeDee Lamb. I think that you need to try to bracket as much as you can Pickens over the top and just figure out a way to keep Surtain on CeeDee Lamb, because that's going to be the best way of trying to neutralize a player like that. Surtain does a great job in the slot. He can play on the outside, and you got to erase that number 1 receiver.
Exactly, Stella. Moss is really doing well. I mean, his metrics, he's one of the top 3 or 4 number 2 corners based on metrics this year. Okay, so yes, he gets penalized too often. That's the one kind of fly in the ointment with Riley. And that's something even VJ talked about on Thursday, that they're really trying to focus on cleaning up. Thank you for being with us, Stella. Quentin, a dear member, says this is going to be a serious game for the back end of the defense. No doubt about that. This is one of those games where they go and get tested. That's for sure. Whoa, we got Donald jumping in from the top rope.
Holy cow.
A very generous super chat. Thank you, Donald, and welcome to this community. Man, that's very generous on a Saturday night like this. Lance and I absolutely appreciate you, big dog. He says, appreciate you guys. The best Broncos analysis out there for whatever it's worth regarding the trades. I think we should hold on to our picks. I think we have the players to get there. Broncos win tomorrow. So that's the one thing, Lance, as we talked about at the top of this show and kind of titled this episode around. The Broncos are reportedly, according to Diana Rusi, they're monitoring the tight end market as the trade deadline approaches. But what we haven't really talked about is, hey, if you do find a guy you love and you want to make a move, not only do you got to have the cap space to absorb them and or extend them / create cap space, and Lance, you got to give a little something up. There's a reason these teams trade them away. What are you going to give us in exchange? And Donald here, with a very generous super chat, is advocating for the Broncos to give nothing up, don't trade, hold the fort, because we got the horses, so to speak, to get there.
So the nice thing about where the Broncos are at with their current draft capital, they have a first, second, third, 2 fourths, a fifth, and a seventh next year. That second, fourth round pick is something that is easily usable if you wanted to go out and get a guy. And you talked about the tight ends here. Let's talk about a guy that was mentioned in the chat earlier. I don't remember who brought the name up, but tight end I really liked coming out of University of Miami a handful of years ago. I believe the same year that Garrett Bowles was drafted. David Njoku is a player that has been rumored to be available for trade. The Broncos would end up having to eat a little bit of the salary there to get that done. He's got a $24 million dead cap hit for the Browns in 2026. So they're going to have to try to figure out a way to work around that. But you want to talk about a player that is dynamic in the passing game. He's a great blocker at the point of attack, a guy that you could really start to develop the 12 personnel. Sean Payton's been using a little bit more 12 personnel this season, which one running back, 2 tight ends. If you're going to be able to find a player like a David Njoku to add to this roster, I think a 4th-round pick could be able to get that done. So that extra 4th-round pick that the Broncos acquired last year, I believe, was that the Baron Browning trade? I think it might have been the Baron Browning trade. I don't remember 100%, but they have that extra 4th-round pick. It's going to be a top 100 pick, but you give a guy like that you get a guy like David Njoku for a 4th-round pick that's, I think he's only 28 or 29 years old, huh? 29 years old. You get a guy like that onto this offense, and that's a big boost to what you can bring in terms of pushing the ball down the field and also in the running game.
We'll see. Donald, brother, thank you again, man. Very generous. Keep helping us keep the lights on, and on a Saturday night like this, again, it goes a long way. So thank you, big dog. A couple more here. Yes, Todd, we've talked a lot about the corners, and it was brought up also by Quentin. But while it might be a tough matchup for Riley, the Broncos can offer help from the safeties. I was a little worried about whether Brandon Jones was going to be healthy this week because he kind of got shook up at the end of that game, but he hasn't been on the injury report. He's good to go. So that's good. And Todd says we have one of the better safety duos in the league, in my opinion. Our secondary is strong. We just need him to step up, play the lights out. And yes, and one thing also I'll concur with what Lance said when he was talking about Moss specifically, but I'm going to say this about all the corners is just let them go to toe-to-toe. Let them do their thing. This is arguably the 3 best cornerback trio in the NFL. If you think there's a better trio, point it to me and we'll do a measurement. I'm not really saying that. We don't have the time for it tonight anyway, but this is it, man. Like, this is where you go out there and prove that you are a top trio, and that help over the top, it's going to come in handy, specifically with Brandon Jones. You're going to see a lot of Hufanga in the box and kind of flying around doing that thing. But, man, this is a game, Lance, where you're supposed to be this real defensive kind of identity team, top flight defense in almost every metric, with the exception of takeaways. Go out there and earn that reputation against, this top offense, the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. Who wins? I'm erring on the side of the Broncos in this one, mainly, Lance, because they're home. And I think that 4th quarter, it's more of a hunch. It's not like a bold prediction. It's just kind of a vibe I'm feeling. I think that 4th quarter, man, it instilled so much belief and excitement and confidence in this team that I think you're going to see a slightly more energetic and intense kind of collective energy from this team out of the gates in this game.
Yeah. I'm not so certain right now. And a big part of the reason why I say that is because I'm not 100% sold on what the offense was. Even last week, the Giants made a lot of mistakes in their secondary, playing off coverage and not bringing in their pass rush. Really took a step back in the 4th quarter because they were playing with such a huge lead that they kind of just stopped playing prevent defense, which playing prevent defense is meaning you're just trying to not lose. And that's usually what happens when you play prevent defense, you lose. Right now, I don't trust this Broncos offense enough, so I'm going to lead on the side of the Cowboys. Our picks are up at milehighhuddle.com. Make sure you guys go check out the Mile High Huddle Roundtable. It's been live for a little over 24 hours now, so go check that out. I have the Broncos losing this game, but I said in my pick, there's 2 outcomes to this game that I think are possible. 1, the Broncos win in a shootout because the offense finally does something, or 2, the Broncos lose in a blowout because this Cowboys offense is that explosive. And to me, I think the big key here is losing Dre Greenlaw to that 1-game suspension, and Jake Ferguson and how effective he has been at the tight end position is setting records. That like this team is so explosive, throwing the ball, running the ball. And if the offense can't get anything going and they just allow this Cowboys team to have multiple shots at the apple, they're gonna hit some explosive plays. So to me, I think it's I think I have it Broncos 31 or Cowboys 31, Broncos 17.
This is one of those games where, regardless of how you think it might shake out, the offense has to do its fair share of the heavy lifting in this one, just because Dallas is so good. They'll put points on the board even against a very good defense. So, Bo Nix, Sean Payton, come correct, guys. It's time to really take the training wheels off, pull your head out, so to speak, as my dad likes to say. Hey, pull your head out and punch in. Why are so many MHH dogging the Broncos' chances against the Cowboys? It's not that, Todd. If you go look at the round table, you got to remember, Todd, when we do the round table and what we try to do on these podcasts is not speak something into existence from the viewpoint of a fan just hoping this is what it's going to be. Our job is, when we do drop analysis and predictions, which is make-believe, right? We're predicting something in the future, is to do it objectively as best we can. And if you look at the round table, this time around, Lance, it's pretty evenly split. But
Yep.
the previous 2 games, it was 100%. Everyone chose the Broncos. So we just call them like we see them. I chose the Broncos in this one. It wouldn't completely shock me if the Cowboys win. Like I said, if this was in Dallas, I might have a different prediction. But I've got the Broncos winning. In this instance, Lance has the Broncos losing. That's a pretty good reflection, though, of the actual roundtable this week. It's pretty well evenly split. Now, guys, we got to dip on out of here. Before we do, though, got to give shout outs to the great Super Chat superstars and supporters and the members helping us keep the lights on, like David Yunkin right out of the gates, the Papa Bear, Josh, the Boot Boy, Tucson Phil, Ralph, Camden throwing down, the Lady D throwing down. We love you. We got one more we got to get also from Phil. Don't let me forget. Lady
we got
D.
another one from Lady D again. She dropped off.
We'll get it right now. Lady D, we got Donald also. Donald, want to invite you as well. Become a member so that we can continue these conversations in the members-only streams, my friend. Lady D jumping in again. Chad, read and watch the book club. Awesome. We're doing, for members only on YouTube, we're on the second book of Broncos Book Club. We're doing Son of Bum. We had our first episode earlier today on the first 2 chapters of Son of Bum. It's a lot of fun. Wade Phillips. She says, Chad, read and watched the book club. This is another benefit for becoming a member. That's right. And she's letting me know because I was questioning it today. I've kind of vacillated. Do I do book club on Friday? Do I do it on Saturday? She says Saturday at 4 Eastern works great for me, 2 Mountain Time. We definitely need to win this game tomorrow, MHH for life. Duly noted, and that's probably what we're rolling with moving forward. Lady D is 2 o'clock Mountain Time on Saturdays for book club. So thank you, my dear friend. Appreciate you so much. And then this is the last one here from Phil, and we got to go, guys. Unfortunately, sorry to keep it short tonight, but Phil says, guys, our corners are key in this game. Who does PS2, Moss, and McMillan cover? Lance, you answer this for Phil as succinctly and quickly as possible, if you please.
Yeah, I think that you get Riley Moss on George Pickens. I think you put PS2 on CeeDee Lamb and have him just follow those guys around the field. And then when Kevontae Turpin comes on the field against Jaquan McMillan, watch out, because the explosive plays can come from Kevontae Turpin very, very quickly. But that's the way that I would line it up.
All right, guys. Love you. Appreciate you. Lance, do you have like a sign-off? Who does the sign-off on Deep Divers? You or Eric? I can never remember.
So Eric does it now since he's driving the show, but
do it. Usually you do it.
All right. So usually what I like to say is thank you all for joining us here on a great episode of the Orange and Blue View. You all stay safe and take care. Have a great rest of your weekend. And as always, guys, go Broncos.
Go Broncos, baby.